You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Dr. Nii-Quartelai Quartey, your host and White House correspondent, back home here in Los Angeles, where I'm in touch, so you be in touch. Be sure to follow me on all the social media platforms at Dr. Nii-Quartelai. Just type in Dr. Nii-Q, D-R-N-I-I-Q, and there I am, fresh for you to follow. Also, be sure to download the KBLA app to listen to us live or on demand, or simply tell Alexa to play KBLA Talk 1580. And there we are for your listening pleasure. Last but not least, subscribe to A More Perfect Union podcast. That way you'll never miss an episode. Now, speaking of not missing anything, you still got a few more days to register for free to attend the Left Coast Forum. It's all going down right here in LA at LA Trade Tech this Saturday, October 25th. You'll have a chance to hear keynotes from folks like Dr. Cornel West and Richard Wolff. You'll hear from Congress member Sidney Kamlager-Dove and so many more. So many more leaders that are on the front line, so many folks leading progressive organizations that make a difference in our community each and every day. Folks from the Liberty Hill Foundation and the LA Progressive and St. John's Community Health, too many to name, but better believe it is the place to be. And so run, don't walk to your computer. You don't have to hop on your computer. You can do it from your phone. Go to KBLA1580.com. That's KBLA1580.com. Go there and register today for free to attend the Left Coast Forum. I'm telling you, that's the place to be. I'll be there. Tavis will be there. Dominique DePrima will be there. And so you be there or be square. How about that? All right, now it's time for your national news roundup. It's time for you to decide the good, bad, and ugly headlines of the day. Kicking us off, 10 key dates. Mark your calendar, 10 key dates to watch as this government shutdown nears a record length. I was just traveling this morning from Washington, D.C. here to L.A., and, there was a TSA agent who reminded me that they're being furloughed. And so there are lots of government workers among us that are being furloughed, and you better believe they're tracking these dates very closely. The federal government shutdown is already one of the nation's longest at 21 days. And guess what? No end in sight as Democrats and Republicans in Congress remain locked in a bitter stalemate. USA Today is reporting that the shutdown has placed 750,000 federal workers on furlough, forced air traffic controllers and other essential workers to work without pay, and closed national parks, federal offices, and museums. And in an escalation from past shutdowns, President Trump has also laid off thousands of government employees and paused infrastructure projects in Democratic-led cities to try and pressure Democrats to act. And so there are many dates coming up that we need to pay attention to. One of them, August 22nd, that's tomorrow. If this shutdown stretches into tomorrow, which it will be tied with the 1995-1996 shutdown as the second longest in U.S. history. And if the shutdown continues into Wednesday, October 23rd, it'll become the second longest at 22 days, trailing only the 35-day shutdown in 2017 during President Trump's first term. October 24th, that's the first full paycheck of federal workers that will be missed. And so that's another date that people are going to be paying attention to. October 25th, President Trump leaves for Asia. And so that means if a deal to reopen the government is not reached by the weekend, then it would likely extend until Trump's return to the U.S. And then October 31st, that's the next paycheck for military members that's due. They received their October 15th paycheck, but it's unclear, according to reports from USA Today and other outlets, whether the government has the money for the next paycheck on October 31st. And so we'll be keeping an eye on that. In other news, the LA Times is reporting that Deputy U.S. Marshal was wounded by ICE agents during an immigration operation here in Southern California. That's right, a deputy U.S. Marshal was wounded by a ricochet bullet fired by an ICE officer during an operation in South LA this morning. The incident happened when agents carrying out an immigration enforcement operation, they boxed in a suspect with their vehicle. This, according to the Department of Homeland Security. Officers had been conducting a targeted enforcement traffic stop of a person who had previously escaped from custody. And during the stop, officials say that he attempted to evade arrest yet again. And so ICE officers, assisted by U.S. Marshals, pulled the what they call illegal alien over in a standard law enforcement procedure, and the illegal alien weaponized this vehicle and began ramming the law enforcement vehicle in an attempt to flee. Fearing for the safety of the public and law enforcement, their officers followed their training and fired defensive shots. We will continue to keep our eye on the story as it develops, not far from where we are in South Los Angeles. When we come forward, we are switching gears and we're talking to Leland Vittert. He is News Nation journalist and anchor, national correspondent, I should say, for News Nation. He has a book out, a new book called Born Lucky: A Dedicated Father, a Grateful Son, and His Journey with Autism. More with Leland when we come forward. You're listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. Hey, Leland, can you hear me okay? I think you're on mute.
How about now?
There you are. Wonderful.
There's so many mute buttons on these things now.
No worries. We're on commercial. We'll be back with you in a few seconds.
Okay, and tell me, what do you sort of general outline? What are you thinking about the book? What else? Anything else? Anything in the book in particular?
I want to talk about the book. I want to talk about just sort of, you're covering, the moment, the trending headlines of the day. We'll get a few in, but really want to focus on the book and you.
Great. Looking forward to it. Thank you.
All right.
Hey, I'm just doing a podcast. Okay, I should be back.
You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Dr. Nii-Quartelai Quartey. I'm really delighted to welcome to the show for his first time, journalist Leland Vittert. He's a journalist and a national correspondent for News Nation. He's worked for Fox News for a long time. He was initially their foreign correspondent based in Jerusalem. And substitute anchor on Fox and Friends. And he's with us today promoting his new book, Born Lucky, a dedicated father, a grateful son, and my journey with autism. Welcome to the show, Leland.
Hey, great to be with you.
Well, it's great to have you here. And, you know, I was really excited about having you because I feel like it gives us an opportunity to get to know you more intimately. We see you on the airwaves, covering news of the day, holding no punches. But this is the softer side of Leland. Why'd you decide to write this book? Why this book about your relationship with your son? Why now?
So it's a great question. You know, for 40 years, my family never talked about this, right? And my parents never told anybody that I had been diagnosed with autism. My parents never sought outside help. I never saw therapists. I never went to special schools or had special accommodations in academics or anything like that. So, you know, Born Lucky has sort of the worst parts of my life in it. You know, the bullying that I went through and the isolation in middle school and in high school and continuing on into college, the fears of my father when I was diagnosed. And, you know, now talking about it and going through therapy on national television is not exactly a bucket of fun. But my hope is that this book, that Born Lucky, provides hope to every parent who has a kid who's having a hard time. Doesn't matter if it's autism, doesn't matter if it is ADHD or anxiety, just bullying at home. Born Lucky is proof of the power of great parenting. It's the proof of the power and agency that parents have that is really not talked about by the experts. And certainly, over the past 3 weeks that the book's been out, I have heard from hundreds of parents who are just thrilled to read Born Lucky and realize that they're not alone.
Wow. How have some of your colleagues responded to this book? I mean, I think there are a number of folks who are streaming this live right now. A lot of folks who tune in to your show on News Nation that would have never suspected that you had this autism story through you.
It's a great question. You know, I think the one thing that's shocked me is how the response to the book has been so overwhelmingly positive. I think on Amazon, we have something like a 90% 5-star review, which says that this book, finally, in a world that is so hyper divided and everyone's so at each other's throats and looking for ways to take digs at each other, the idea of hope for parents is really universal because every parent wants their kid to be more and to have a better life and to meet their full potential. So, you know, the one thing I've said in Born Lucky is this isn't a cure. This isn't a prescription to autism. This is my story. And I think you very rightly point out, a lot of people are saying, really? You know, you have autism. And I think it's a testament to how much my dad worked, you know, thousands upon thousands of hours in Born Lucky of him working to adapt me to the world rather than the world to me. And I'll give you an example. When I was a little boy, I had the emotional intelligence, the EQ of freezing, of a freezing temperature. It was, I did not understand the social or emotional fabric that went on in life. And he would take me out to lunch with his friends because I didn't have any friends. I was 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years old, never got invited to a birthday party. And he would take me out, and when I would interrupt somebody, or when I would make a joke that was off rhythm or whatever it is, he would tap his watch. And that was my message to stop talking, number one. But number two, to bookmark that moment. And then later we would post game, you know, when the person we were at lunch was talking about his kids and you interrupted to talk about why you thought George H.W. Bush was going to win the election. Why did you think he wanted to talk about that? And then we would role play. What could you have asked that they would have been interested in? How could you connect with them emotionally? How were they feeling at the moment? It was that teaching that social emotional fabric that is instinctual to so many, that still every day is something that I work on.
That is fascinating. It's fascinating. I mean, there are not a lot of news anchors, who have a story quite like yours. Did you feel that sharing that story right now might help people to see folks struggling with autism or with neurodivergence just a little bit differently? I'm just trying to get to the, well, why now?
It's a reasonable question. I think it was really much more personal than that. I wanted to write this book when my dad could still participate. I could still interview him about it. He's getting older. He's in his late 70s now. And there was so much of this story that I didn't know because I was either too young to remember it, or a lot of the memories, you sort of forget the worst times. But, one of the things I learned writing the book was that every day when I got home at 4:20 in the afternoon from school, my dad would be there to, in his words, put me back together because of the bullying and the isolation. There were days that teachers would get in on it. I still remember in 8th grade, there was a teacher who, in front of the entire art class, didn't like my painting or whatever and thought I wasn't going to become Picasso. So the teacher says in front of the entire art class, "You know what, Vittert? If my dog was as ugly as you, I would shave its bleep and make it walk backwards." That was a teacher. So every day my dad had to put me back together. And that was the process for him for a couple of hours every night. And sometimes I would cry, sometimes I would yell, sometimes I would be angry, whatever it was. And I didn't know until we wrote Born Lucky and I was interviewing him and my mom that a lot of nights he would come down from my room and then sit in the living room, now 10, 11, 12 o'clock at night, by himself and just start crying there on the couch. And my mom would come out and find him. So I wanted to write this when my dad could still be involved. And I also wanted to write this because it really is a love letter to my dad. And an acknowledgement of everything he gave up and everything he did and the incredible, incredible effort that he put in, day out, not knowing if things were going to get better. And I wanted him to be able to read it and to appreciate it and to know I understood the sacrifice.
Has writing this book, has it made you much more sensitive to bullies?
Oh, I think I've always been pretty sensitive to bullies. This is something that started for me when I was a little boy. So I think what's interesting about writing the book is that reliving so many of these memories that I've had to sort of reprocess and go back through. The thing about this was I thought the hardest part was going to be remembering the bullies, remembering the guy in high school who made it so no one in the school would talk to me for days and weeks because I had actually done the right thing in a situation. I thought the hardest part was going to be remembering that. And you'll note when you read the book that we didn't use the name of anyone who was mean to me. We only used the name of the people who were nice. And I think what it's made me do is really appreciate so much more the power of people who were really kind and the power that everybody has to be really kind to a kid who's having a hard time.
Leland, how do you reconcile that experience you had with the work that you do? I mean, you cover the rough and tumble of politics each and every day. There are a lot of folks that you interview that folks would call bullies, right? Meanwhile, you survived a whole lot of them in order to get to where you are today. Talk to us about how your sensitivity to bullies and bullying, how does that factor into your work as a journalist?
Well, I guess I don't know it any differently, right? I've always just been me. So I don't know how my experience would have changed me since I've only ever been me. The two things my dad taught me growing up, because he knew I wasn't going to have any friends. He knew that I wasn't going to do well in school, and he knew that I wouldn't be good at athletics. He taught me that there's two things in life you can control: your character and your work ethic. And telling the truth and being true to it as a journalist has always been a North Star for me. I think in Born Lucky, you see the cost to that of me, right? When I was at Fox News in 2020, I was the first anchor to publicly question a Trump official at Fox about Trump's claims for the 2020 election. It was on a Saturday, a couple of weeks after the election. It was during one of those Stop the Steal rallies. And I write in Born Lucky, what it was like in that newsroom that day. And then this very tense confrontation on TV. It lasted 10 or 15 minutes about whether or not the votes existed to overturn the election. And I kept asking, where's the proof? Where's the proof? And the person who was a Trump spokesperson didn't have a good answer for that. So in the words of private school, I was invited not to return to Fox News after that. That was the cost of doing the right thing and of telling the truth. Telling it, just asking about the truth. So I think the things that my dad taught me early on to take pride in have served me well over this time in journalism.
Leland, in our remaining minutes with you, there's one question that has just been, on my mind since I knew we were going to be talking today. For a lot of our leaders, learners, and listeners out there, they know that Medicaid, for example, can provide significant support for individuals with autism through various services, including behavioral therapies like ABA speech and occupational therapy, among others. And right now, this is one of the biggest fights that's happening in Washington. It is the cost that we are all paying for this government shutdown right now. Again, given your personal experience growing up with autism, recognizing that the therapy that your father offered and other services that were offered to you, what difference that's made in allowing you to live the life that you live, what do you make, of the biggest cut to healthcare in our nation's history with these cuts to Medicaid? And again, how does that factor into your work as a journalist when you're talking to the folks who have a vote or who've had a vote in the matter, who may have overlooked the direct impact this will have on little kids that are beginning the journey that you've been on?
Yeah, look, I think this is a great question about how important kids getting help is. I didn't have any outside therapy. It was just me and my dad. That's the story of Born Lucky. And the one thing that we wanted this book to be was not political. This isn't about politics. This isn't about Washington. This is my story. Born Lucky is the story of how my dad helped me. The one thing that I've tried to keep in mind, and I hasten to talk about something that I'm not an expert in terms of the sort of the intersection of Medicaid services for people who need extra help, because it's just not something that I've studied or really covered as a journalist. I think the one thing that's clear that I've worked hard on in the government shutdown to do is to do exactly what I've always thought the North Star of journalism is, which is to give both sides a hard time, and to sort of incisively question both sides. And that to me is what makes News Nation different. I think it's why we're growing so quickly, is that we're giving real news to people, because real news to me is not having an opinion. It's not excluding opinions. And that's what I try to do every night.
Yeah. Well, here in the tradition of the Black press, we think a little bit differently about, our role to both liberate and educate.
Yeah, I understand that. I think you guys play a really important role. And the one thing I think that's so great right now is that finally autism is coming to light. This is something that was 1 in 1,500 kids when I was a kid. Now 1 in 31, as it is now for kids being diagnosed with autism. 3 times higher for boys, higher still for poor and minority communities. And I think the fact that you're covering this and talking about it and having conversations and showing parents what they can do is so important.
Well, look, Leland, we definitely want to have you back sometime soon to stretch out and talk a little bit more about your journey, but not just your journey, but how it interacts with some of the political roadblocks that some folks believe are being put in the way to get people the services that they need. And so our thanks to Leland Vittert. You can see him on News Nation. But more importantly, today, you can go pick up his book, Born Lucky, A Dedicated Father, A Grateful Son, and My Journey with Autism. Thank you, Leland.
Thanks. Good being here.
You're listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. Reverend Eddie Anderson when we come forward.
This is where Black voices matter. He's breaking boundaries, amplifying diverse perspectives, and tackling the issues that matter most to you. You're inside A More Perfect Union with Dr. Nii-Quartelai Quartey on KBLA Talk 1580.
I appreciate that last question. That's the question I was getting to. He was like, he was exactly right. I couldn't come out too strong out the gates. I'm like, okay. It was only on for 30 minutes. 15 hours. Right. And you see how quickly he left. Exactly. The disrespect. See, that's why I don't like giving motherfuckers like that platform. All that shit. Oh, white boy. On this progressive platform. Who's this guy? Doctor. Who cares, man? She can talk about her butt. You see, we always be over here rolling the red carpet for these motherfuckers. Why are they doing it for us? I know you feel slighted, low-key, huh?
Convictions. Get BIN News now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
The terrible drive in Ontario continues due to a crash on the West 10 coming up on the 15. All mainline lanes will be funneled to the 2 fast track lanes. That's all that's open currently. And big delays are backing up from Sierra. It's also affecting the connectors from both directions of the 15 to the 10 West. They are shut down. The 10 eastbound slows out of Ontario to take a look at all this action. And that's slowing the drive down away from Vineyard. The 15 northbound loads up from the 60 as you continue ahead towards Foothill Boulevard.
Think It Up is an initiative to activate student-powered, teacher-led learning projects. Students and teachers, how can you see learning experiences in your classrooms today? Join at thinkitup.org.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
Veteran guard Gabe Vincent will be in the starting lineup tonight for the Lakers to replace LeBron James. LeBron will miss the Lakers' regular season opener against Golden State at Crypto.com. A sciatic nerve injury will keep the NBA's all-time leading scorer on the sidelines for 3 to 4 weeks. Vincent started 11 games for the Lakers last season. Las Vegas oddsmakers are listing the Dodgers as heavy favorites to beat Toronto in the World Series. The Dodgers are trying to become the first Major League team to win back-to-back World Series since the Yankees did it in 2000. Game 1 is Friday night in Toronto. Of the 5 black head coaches in the NFL, Aaron Glenn of the New York Jets is still the only one without a win this season. Glenn is 0-7 in his first year with the Jets. Todd Bowles of Tampa Bay is 5-2. Pittsburgh's Mike Tomlin is 4-2. Raheem Morris of Atlanta is 3-3. Houston's D'Amico Ryan is 2-4. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
Yeah, yo, come on.
At KBLA Talk 1580, we fight the power every day.
Yeah, gotta give us what we want. Gotta give us what we need. Hey.
I listen to KBLA and I love the commercials. I know what the commercials mean. I also, if I'm looking and trying to figure something out, I need something to talk to me that might hit me. And it happens on TV because, every time they show a sporting event, they got the pharmaceutical companies back to back telling people how to fix the sickness on the same stuff that they sell them. So we get it.
Yep, we get it too, Chuck D. And that's why at KBLA Talk 1580, we don't black down.
Drop it. Our freedom of speech is freedom of death. We got to fight the powers that be. Fight the power. Fight the power.
JP Morgan Chase offers tips for the local business owners in 2025. Small business landscape is ever changing, and the Los Angeles market is no exception. A startup or legacy business, revisiting your mission statement and recalibrating offerings can renew opportunities for growth and innovations. Programs like Chase for Business Coaching for Impact gives entrepreneurs access to expert guidance, helping you streamline operations, strategize your growth, and navigate complex challenges. Businesses with a clear sense of purpose can navigate any challenge effectively, but also build stronger customer loyalty. Visit chase.com/coaching for impact for more information. This segment is sponsored by JP Morgan Chase.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. LA County's new Justice Care and Opportunities Department, or JCOD, is here to support justice-involved individuals and their families. The JCOD Support Center is now taking calls at 1-833-LAC-JCOD. That's 1-833-522-5263. Available 7 days a week from 6 a.m. to 11 p.m., the Support Center is your one-stop shop for re-entry issues and court support. They offer court reminders, connections to local services, transportation assistance for housing, court appearances, and childcare. The JCOD hotline provides personalized help to connect you with services that you need. And don't forget to check out justiceconnect.org for more information. Remember, it's free and available every day at 1-833-522-5263. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Now back to building a more perfect union on KBLA Talk 1580.
You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Dr. Nii-Quartelai Quartey, and really delighted to welcome to the show for the first time, Pastor Eddie Anderson. He's the CEO of Partnership for Growth LA, which, in case you didn't know, it's a Black and Jewish community development corporation that was established to build sustainable community wellness and cooperative development among South and West LA. Welcome to the show, Reverend Eddie.
Dr. Quartelai, thank you for having me.
Well, thank you for being here. I was talking at the top of the show about our event that's coming up on October 25th. You'd have to be hiding under a rock to have not heard about the Left Coast Forum. You can still go to KBLA1580.com to register for free. But talk to us about why Partnership for Growth LA was so determined to be a part of the Left Coast Forum.
We're a part of Left Coast Forum because right now we think that, and we understand that democracy is fragile. It's in a critical balance. And what we do at Partnership for Growth is it comes out of organizing, right? I spent over 10 to 15 years organizing in Los Angeles, organizing movements. And when we're talking about doing upstream factors and solving systematic issues, part of that is conversation. Part of that is humanizing the other and having innovation around what is possible. And so the Left Coast Forum is a place where ideas are exchanged, where power is renewed, and where hope begins to grow a little bit. And so we want to be a part of that.
And so what can people look forward to seeing from the Partnership for Growth LA at the Left Coast Forum? Is there a session that you all are going to be leading? Yeah. And how can people sort of tap in to some of the organizing work that is afoot right now with the Partnership for Growth LA?
Absolutely. So we'll be doing a panel on urban agriculture and how to make sure we revive and have food sovereignty in South LA. We launched the largest at-scale urban agriculture initiative in Southern California to make sure we can have a local supply chain, which is so much needed now when you see all the ice rays happening. And so we've actually supported with over $1 million worth of investment into the community, over 18 urban farms. And we've then gone back to those are farms that are owned by churches and schools and local Black organizations like Social Justice Learning Institute, SJLI in Inglewood. And we have helped them scale up. We have Black farmers that go out and give our special technical assistance. And now what we're doing, we also have a nursery that we gave out over 30,000 plants over this summer as well to folks to grow plant plugs. And we're going back and showing what does the local supply chain look like in South LA. We're bringing all of our parts together to talk about how we are launching this, and we call that initiative of the Freedom Farms Collective after the inspiration of Fannie Lou Hamer in Mississippi.
Wow, that's really something. And so, talk to us about the coalition of folks that you all are working so closely with. It's no secret. It's been a lot of tensions in the community, a lot of tensions between members of the Black community and the Jewish community. Some of it related to the Israel-Gaza
Yeah.
conflict, some more than that. Talk to us about how the Partnership for Growth LA is attempting to be a bridge between the Black and Jewish community when it comes to community development.
Yeah, so I mean, I have to tell the story that the way that this partnership happened. I'm a Morehouse grad, and so we always talked about uh, King and Heschel, and what we realized is that after the civil rights movement, that partnership between the Black and Jewish community um, kind of fell apart, right, in many ways because. We were together and trying to fight this right, but Black folks didn't get all the economic benefits everyone else got. Black communities got redlined. And when the pandemic started, the month of the pandemic in March 2020, I called up my rabbi on the West Side and a friend of mine. I do a lot of interfaith work in community. And I said to him, I said, Black and brown communities, my communities in South LA, are going to be left behind in the recovery. We see what happens in the recession in '08. And so we can know that Black and brown communities are going to be left behind. We should start a CDC. And I need you and your folks, I need your community to partner with me to make sure that we can invest in the Black community in a way in which we haven't seen in many years, and it's historical. And Rabbi Joel Simons, he said, "A CDC. I don't really know what that is, Pastor Eddie, but I trust you to make it happen." And what that has allowed us to do is to realize that we do have a shared history, especially in the Black Christian faith, around a God of liberation, a God of Exodus, a God who cares about making sure we are whole. And so our partnership is actually spiritual in that way. That we understand that I may not understand all of your politics, and most politics we kind of rock together. Some politics we diverge, but what we care about most is doing the work for community. What does it mean to take kids from the West Side and bring them to South LA and put them in a community garden, or have them read at a Read Lead Freedom School that we do in schools, or have them volunteer with our Project Jubilee program, workforce development program, and realize that everyone's not living the same way you're living. But there's a difference that can be made. There is a bridge that you can cross. There is a partnership that we can make together, and that is where we have started doing more and more work in solidarity together, realizing that we may not agree on all the things, but what we do agree on is that this community deserves dignity. What we do agree on, and that's working on.
Yeah. I mean, and I get that, and point taken in terms of your focus on those areas where there is shared understanding, where there's a shared commitment. But I think there are a number of folks out there that I've spoken to that say that the Israel-Gaza conflict really created a chasm in relationships that have been building over a number of years. And so I'm not sure if you've seen this in the work of the Partnership for Growth LA, but I'm just sort of curious, if I were sort of check in with you on just sort of the state of trust.
Yeah.
Between the Black and Jewish community through the work that you have had a chance to be a part of in LA. I'm just curious, what's the temperature? What's the level of trust?
Yeah, we're rebuilding trust. We're in the process of rebuilding. I think there was a famous photo said we make the road by walking, right? We're in the process of rebuilding. I mean, anyone who knows my work in Los Angeles, I founded Clerks for Black Lives. They know that Reverend Lawson is my spiritual father and mentor. They know that I'm unapologetically Black, and if I love KBLA, and that I am unapologetically for the liberation of all oppressed people. And so what we have done in this tough moment, and I have to tell you it was tough. It's been a tough moment. I'm not going to sugarcoat that. But we've had to have hard conversations around um, does our difference of opinions on some things make us not willing to work together on other things? Because we've seen that division is the greatest weapon that oppression has, especially with authoritarianism, where I still believe we're on step 9 of 10 of that. And so I tell my Jewish brothers and sisters, and we work with an array of folks across the spectrum, um, mainly progressive, liberal, reform Jews, Jewish folks. I tell them all the time that um, if we're going to do fusion politics, I will show up and I will agree to be disagreeable, to disagree without being disagreeable on some issues, but I'm unapologetic about the liberation of my people, my community, and that's why I do this work. I'm doing this as a call to my ancestors, in that if we can't work together, to we will definitely find ourselves both, all of us in Los Angeles, in a place where we can't get out of, and that's the same way that I think we've seen that in our community. So temperature is building trust. We're trying to build that trust. And I think we've seen it across the board. We've seen it in the movement. I mean, I helped lead a lot of political movements in Los Angeles as well. And uh, the coalition was fractured. I'm not going to lie about that. But a greater common enemy and threat is upon us. And so we got to show up in this moment.
Well, if you are picking up what Reverend Eddie is putting down, then you need to register for the Left Coast Forum taking place this Saturday at LA Trade Tech, October 25th. Go to KBLA1580.com to register. As Reverend Eddie mentioned, the partnership for Growth Los Angeles, a Black and Jewish Community Development Corporation, they're going to be having a session there about the earth, about some of the food justice work that they're doing and food access work that they're doing, along with a number of other partners. And so go ahead and register and be sure to check that out. Reverend Eddie, anything you want to add? Anything you want to say to the people?
I just want to say, I mean, today I'm coming to you today right after leaving the hospital, and I just want to talk about. Can I just mention ICE for a second and what ICE is doing in LA?
Quickly, go ahead.
Quickly, I just came from the hospital because ICE decided to shoot someone with live ammunition in Los Angeles. A person who was a reporter, a person who was documenting what is going on in his community, and they targeted him. And we see this happening in Chicago and other places. And so I just want to say to everyone, KBLA and your audience, we got to tap in, y'all. That as Angela Davis and James Baldwin said, Angela Davis, if they come for you at night, then they come for me in the morning. And so we really got to tap in. Live ammunition being used on our streets, locking down a school that was adjacent to it. This is our moral moment. We got a lot of issues, but we got to fight. And so democracy is at stake. And I think Left Coast Forum is a place for us to talk about that issue as well. Please show up. If nothing else, for democracy's sake.
I appreciate you mentioning that at the top of the show. We mentioned that a deputy U.S. Marshal was wounded by an ICE agent during an immigration operation just here in South LA. We're going to continue to follow this story, but it's another reminder that ICE agents aren't local law enforcement.
No.
They're not trained in local policing. I've said this from the very beginning, that unfortunately, I think a lot of the ICE agents are not only putting other folks in danger, I think they're in danger themselves.
Absolutely.
Because they don't have the skills and the training that local police have. In this case, when they were supposedly conducting a maneuver as a part of their ICE work. And so Reverend Eddie will have you back as this story develops, but we'll be looking for you at the Left Coast Forum at LA Trade Tech this Saturday, October 25th.
Thank you, Doc. Appreciate you and your work.
Thank you. You're listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. When we come forward, do you know about Russ Vote? Well, you should know about Russ Vought, Trump's shadow president, at least according to the people at ProPublica. I'll explain when I come forward. You're listening to A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580.
Striving to make America a nation as good as its promise. This is A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Donald Trump has all but declared war on California, sending in the National Guard, blocking disaster relief, and cutting funds to our colleges. And now, he and Texas Republicans are trying to rig the next election by stealing congressional seats from black voters in states like Texas.
They want to rig these elections, and they want the power that gerrymandering provides.
Seriously, look it up. But Prop 50 is how we fight back. It gives Californians the power to fight fire with fire and beat Trump at his own game. Prop 50 creates temporary emergency congressional maps that level the playing field and protect the power of black votes. Not just in California, but across the country. Your vote matters, and the whole country is counting on California to lead. So use your vote to protect our power, our history, and our future. Vote yes on Prop 50 by November 4th. Ad paid for by Yes on 50, the Election Rigging Response Act, Governor Newsom's Ballot Measure Committee, Ad Committee's top funders, HMP for Prop 50, and Fund for Policy Reform.
Let's go! You're still glowing, flirting, grooving. You still got it. But your immune system weakens as you age, making it harder to fight flu, pneumococcal pneumonia, RSV, and COVID-19. Vaccines are a key part of any health routine and help strengthen your immune response. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. Schedule in minutes at vaxassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
It all comes down to this, folks.
Yep, the entire season is on the line.
But my throat has officially thrown in the towel.
Sounds like you need Vicks VapoCool drops. They're max strength and vaporize sore throat pain.
Whoa! These VapoCool drops hit fast.
Speaking of fast, did you just see that play?
Yeah, he vaporized that ball.
That pun should have come with a penalty.
Vaporize sore throat pain with Vicks VapoCool drops. Use as directed.
You ready?
You're invited to the KBLA Talk 1580 Community Health and Wellness Fair on Saturday, November 8th, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Catch at Audubon Middle School in Leimert Park, 4120 11th Avenue. Join us for a day of health, healing, and community connection. There will be health screenings, immunizations, wellness information, a Ketch Charter School recruitment fair, plus music and healthy snacks. And it's all free at the KBLA Talk 1580 Community Health and Wellness Fair, Saturday, November 8th, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at Audubon Middle School in Leimert Park, 4120 11th Avenue. Come out and bring the entire family. And if you have not yet checked out our KBLA Health and Wellness Hub, you should at KBLA1580.com. KBLA Talk 1580 thanks Ketch Charter School, Prudential, Eastside, Cedar Sinai, and St. John's Community Health. At KBLA Talk 1580, we believe that a healthy community is a thriving community.
That's right, baby.
We face tragedy, but we don't fall into despair. We continue our work to build a more perfect union.
You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. It's time for the quiet part out loud. And there aren't many outlets that say it as well as ProPublica. Why you should know about Russ Vought, Trump's shadow president. That's right. On the second day of the federal government shutdown, President Trump shared an AI-generated video set to a classic song, Don't Fear the Reaper, by Blue Oyster Cult. And the star of that video, which quickly went viral, was Russell Vought, the president's top budget advisor. And more than that, Vought is the architect of Trump's broader plan to fire civil servants and to freeze government programs and dismantle the entire agencies. And he's a big reason the second Trump administration has been more effective at accomplishing its goals than the first. You see, in the video shared by Trump, Vought appeared as the Grim Reaper of Washington, D.C. Now, Vogt's title may be a little misleading. He's the director of the Office of Management and Budget. And while the OMB director is one of the most powerful jobs in Washington, and Vogt has used the position to wage a quiet war to change and shape the entire U.S. government, in Vogt's hands, OMB has acted as a choke point for the funding that Congress approves and agencies rely on to run the government. And while he tends to operate behind the scenes as much as possible, his influence in Trump's second administration is so pronounced that people have described him as akin to a shadow president. Now you may say, okay, Nii-Quartelai, shadow president, isn't that putting a little too much sauce on it? Well, let's walk through this. Some key things that you should know about Russ Vought, who declined to be interviewed for this article published by ProPublica, but a spokesperson for him at OMB wouldn't comment on the record in response either. It's important to know that Russ Vought, he went from the mailroom to becoming the chief antagonist of his own party. He's a native of Trumbull, Connecticut. He's the son of an electrician father, a mother who spent decades in public education after helping to launch a Christian school. Russ Vought got his first job in D.C. politics working in the mailroom for Republican Senator Phil Gramm of Texas, who was a fierce budget hawk, by the way. He was known for criticizing members of his own party for breaking what he viewed as core conservative principles. It's also worth noting that Russ Vaught's early work as OMB helped lead Trump's first impeachment. This isn't his first stint as OMB director. He held the same position during the first Trump administration. So you wonder, like, oh, wow, why are they moving so quick and fast, right? Because it ain't new to him. He'd been there before. In 2019, after the Trump White House pressured Ukraine's government to investigate then candidate Joe Biden and his son Hunter, it asked Russ Vought, then acting director, to freeze $214 million in congressionally approved security assistance for Ukraine. You know what he did? He obliged. Russ Vought played a surprising role in popularizing the phrase woke and weaponized. You see, in 2021, Russ Vought, he launched the Center for Renewing America, a think tank devoted to keeping the MAGA movement alive and preparing a second Trump presidency. According to previously unreported recordings obtained by ProPublica, Russ Vought accepted an assignment from Trump to come up with a way for conservatives to counter Black Lives Matter. He popularized the concept of woke and weaponized government, a phrase embraced by GOP politicians and activists to disparagingly label policies, people, and even agencies that didn't fit with the MAGA agenda. When Russ Vaught's think tank released a federal budget blueprint in 2022 calling for $9 trillion in cuts over 10 years, the word woke appeared 77 times in its 103 pages. So in case you were wondering who Russ Vought is, in case you were wondering of the power of the person that is called the shadow president, this is just a taste of what ProPublica has reported on recently. You should look it up yourself. But don't despair. Be encouraged to register your vote this November and next November. If you don't like folks like this being in control of your future, your family's future, your kids' future. You're listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. More when we come forward.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. Philadelphia police confirm human remains found Saturday belonged to 23-year-old Kata Scott, who was Black, missing since October 4th.
No one is happy that this is the ending. This person has been deceased for a few days, and so for some time.
DNA matched her parents' samples after a tip led investigators to the site behind a former middle school. A suspect already arrested for her kidnapping now faces additional charges. President Trump is voicing support for Black Republican Winsome Earl Sears in Virginia's governor's race, calling Democrats